My name is J.B. Finley, and on behalf of the Lawrence County Meet the Candidates Committee, I'm pleased to welcome you tonight. We hope that you find it to be informative as well as educational. Before we begin the program, there's just a few items I'd like to go over with you. First, I'd like to thank Fairland School District and Teresa Johnson, the principal here at Fairland West, for allowing us to hold the program here. It's a great school, great atmosphere to hold this meeting. I'd also like to acknowledge the custodians that have worked so hard to put this on, to make the room ready. They've put a lot of work into it, and they'll be here late tonight after we leave, putting it back into order. So very appreciative of the school district and of the school. If you haven't noticed, they are selling some coffee and water and cookies in the back of the room. So if you have a moment and you'd like to support them, that'd be great. It's the Fairland Cheerleaders, and they're heading to a national competition in Florida in early February. So this is a fundraiser for them. So any support you can give to the cheerleaders is very much appreciated. Hopefully, everybody has already filled out a little 3x5 card with your questions. We want the question and answer period to be an opportunity for you to raise questions. What do what's important to you? What do you want to hear from the candidates? What do you want them to talk about? So if you haven't filled out your card, please do so. There's a basket in the very back of the room on the table. You can put your cards back there, or our committee members, if you hold up the card, they will come by and pick it up for you. But we'd like to have as many questions as we possibly can. We are very limited on time this evening, so we're going to try to keep things moving quickly. And so we're going to have a limited number of questions for the candidates, but we're going to get as many in as we can. And then after the Q&A period, that's when all the candidates will come back down on the floor to talk with anyone, take any questions. So that's will be the last thing that we do for the evening. Finally, I want to recognize the people that on the committee that have helped put this program together. We're very new at this. We didn't have any experience, and we've worked pretty hard to bring all this together, and we're really happy with the turnout that we have. The members of the committee are Dee Tackett, Cheryl Dalton, Linda Holtz, Tyler Haslam, and myself. Alan Spitz is our moderator tonight. He's graciously agreed to do that task. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Alan, and he will call up the first presenter. Thank you.
Our first presenter is Judge Andrew Ballard, running for Common Pleas Judge.
First of all, I'd like to thank the committee for this opportunity to address the crowd tonight. This is an absolute wonderful showing of democracy in our community, giving the public access to the candidates who are going to be running for office. And I'd like to take just a few seconds of my time to thank Mr. Finley personally for the work that he's done, and also I would like a round of applause from this crowd for our Fairland Dragons cheerleaders that are going to nationals. We're extremely proud of these young women and all the hard work they have put in, and with Ms. Leap's tutelage, and thank you all for being great representatives of our community. Just a few seconds about me. When I decided to run in 2016 for my first election, I had committed to saying that I would never look anybody in this community in the eye, make a promise that I wouldn't keep, tell you that I was someone I wasn't, or become someone who I'm not. And I've strived to keep all of those values in place. I told this community that I would bring this county its first specialized docket in the form of a certified drug court, and I'm happy to announce, as most of you know, that feat was accomplished in September of 2018 when the Supreme Court certified the Nexus Recovery docket. Since that time, we have seen individuals graduate our program and go on to live law-abiding lives, obtain employment, get their children back, and become amazing citizens back in our community, because this community is only as strong as its weakest link. And we have a moral obligation to help those individuals in need, whether you're a judge or whether you're just helping someone across the street that needs assistance. That is an obligation that we have as Lawrence Countyans, and it's an obligation we have as Christians. And that is absolutely what we do every day in the court. It doesn't mean that violent offenders are given opportunities that they shouldn't. I think my record has been very clear on that for 3 years, including the first capital punishment case that was prosecuted by Mr. Anderson in our county in over 60 years that resulted in me and 2 other judges on a 3-judge panel levying 4 death penalties for an individual, as well as life sentences that have been issued in these violent crimes that have been in my court. But luckily for us, that's a small minority of the cases we see. Most of the crimes that we see are victimless crimes as a result of drug abuse and drug addiction in our communities. I vow to continue the fight to find innovative ways with justice to combat the problems and try to recover these individuals and get them back to being good stewards of the community and taxpayers and parents, and letting them make positive progress for the betterment of Lawrence County. And I will continue with that promise to you through my next term. And I thank you for your support in 2016, and I thank you again for your anticipated support in November of this year. Thank you.
Our next presenter is Judge Patricia Sanders, Common Pleas Judge, Probate Juvenile.
All right, good evening. I am Patricia Sanders. I'm the probate juvenile judge. I was appointed by Governor DeWine in September to fulfill the balance of the term that was left by the vacancy of Judge Payne, who retired after 25 years. I was Judge Payne's magistrate for the 16 years prior to my appointment. I've quite enjoyed the challenge of assuming and being appointed as judge. Some of the things that we are gearing towards and moving towards, and one of the things that I hold dear is that we treat every individual that comes in front of our court, whether it's a child or a parent or a guardian, with dignity and respect. Everyone who comes in front of the court, regardless of their situation, needs to be treated with that. In addition, each of the people that come in front of me also need to know that they are of value to this community, regardless of the position they're in when they are currently in court. They're having some difficulties and struggles. My job and the court's job is to provide them and find them community assistance to get them out of their current predicaments. One of the things that I'm looking at on our delinquency side is not just focusing on the child, but also focusing on the family. I can order a child to counseling. The child can go to our juvenile center for a period of time, but that does not correct the problem. Oftentimes it's a family issue. So I've been working with some community providers that will provide assessments for the child, as well as family assessments to provide some of the services that that family may be needing. So that's kind of a paradigm shift, and not just looking at the child and consequences for the child, but help for the entire family. I know there's, like Judge Ballard said, we have a serious epidemic with drugs, and on our dependency docket, I am looking at whether or not a family dependency drug docket would benefit the community, or whether there are some changes that we could make. One of the things I've been doing since I took the bench is to hold more frequent review hearings in which the providers and the parents actually come in front of me no less than 30 days at a time to see how they're doing and to see what gaps are currently in place. I have a good relationship with the Children's Services Board. I met today with the DD Board to see what types of services and communication can be increased in order to help our community. So I look forward to serving as your judge, and I look forward to being on the docket, and I do ask for your support, and if you have any ideas or questions, I will be here afterwards to answer those. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next presenter is Dr. Ben Mack, coroner.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ben Mack. I'm the guy in the county that nobody wants to see. I'm an emergency physician at St. Mary's, the county coroner, also active with our fire department here in Rome and with our county EMS as well. But I've never really gotten up and introduced myself to the community in a setting like this, so I figured since I live right down the street and my daughter goes to school here, there's never been a better time. I want to thank the committee for putting this together. My wife sitting back there, she's the reason why I'm here. I grew up in Northern Ohio and moved down here as marrying a local Fairland girl here. So I took over as county coroner in 2018 when Dr. Hoffman retired, was elected into the remainder of that term that year, and have been serving along since then. Just a few accomplishments our office has done. I was able to secure some grant funding from the state to help reimburse us for toxicology testing. That brought in $7,000, which in the grand scheme of things countywide isn't a big number, but that's about 10% of our budget. So being able to bring some of that in, we've upgraded to an electronic database system to help report to the state a lot faster. We've updated our toxicology testing. Instead of waiting for 2.5 weeks to get results back, we usually have results back within 72 hours. We've actually been able to move into an office in the Joint Response Organizational Center, and that's really about the bulk of what I bring to the table, trying to always improve things, not leave things as the status quo. I took a few notes, let me make sure I covered everything. But that's me. I fight death in the emergency department every day, so I know how to recognize it and investigate it, and we'll continue to serve you well. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next presenter is Michael Patterson, Clerk of Courts.
You won't have no trouble with me, I promise you. First of all, real quick with me, I'm Mike Patterson, been married to my wife Lisa for 27 years this coming July. I will be married 27 years to my wife. I got 4 wonderful children, and I am the son of one of the best commissioners, one of the best men that's ever took office in this county. George Patterson was my dad. As far as the Clerk of Courts office, when we took over, the Clerk of Courts office, there wasn't a lot of money to go around. And when we took over, we was blessed that the title funds had went up. So we inherited nothing against anyone else. We inherited a $90,000 bill that they had to take it was taken out a loan to update the Clerk of Courts office. In a year and a half, we paid that off, and we have never borrowed another dime to upgrade anything we've done. Along with the help of the judges, we're able to take our court systems into the next generation with e-filing. They can come and e-file now, and thank you to Judge Ballard for applying for the grants to get that done. And he was a major help to my office. We've also been able to help other offices out, and not speaking, when I took this office, when my dad was sick, he said, you honor that office and honor Lawrence County, you be loyal to them. And we've been able to help other entities out because the Lord has blessed me so much with this office. I am actually running for my 4th term as your Clerk of Courts, and I made a promise when I decided to run that I would be a full-time Clerk of Courts. I would be in my office for people to see me, and that's just what I've done. Ask anyone who comes to my office, I'm there. I'm there to answer questions. I'm there to see people. I want to be there for Lawrence County. I love this county more than you'll ever know. I thank everybody for their support all through this since I've been running, and I want to continue to do the best job I can do for Lawrence County. We love it, and anybody wants to talk to me afterwards, we got all evening to talk, so you'll have a good evening.
Thank you. Our next presenter is Jeff Halle, candidate for the House of Representatives, 93rd District.
Good evening. First of all, I want to thank the school district of Fairland for allowing us to come down here and take part. I see one of the school members back there, Matt, who I thought was going to be my opponent all summer. We run around in southeastern Ohio chasing each other, but anyhow, it didn't work out that way. I see when I'm sitting here, I am sitting on the school board in Gay local schools, and so I look around when I go to other facilities. and see what they have. So I was looking at your banners in this gym, and each of you ought to take a look at them before you leave this evening. Citizenships back there has kind of caught my eye. Everybody wonders why I'm running for the state representative seat. I've been involved in politics for the last 40 years. I've heard. I really didn't answer. That. I think, did Lawrence County plan on doing that to me? Huh? Okay. Like I was saying, I'm a member. Like I was saying, I'm a member of the Gaia Local School Board, so I understand schooling. My dad was involved with schools as a board member for 30 years, so we understand some of the problems here in southeastern Ohio when it comes to school funding. I want to be a voice for southeastern Ohio and Columbus. When I go to Columbus, I'll have one priority. That's the citizens of southeastern Ohio. There's four counties in this district: Lawrence County, Gaia County, Jackson County, and Vinton. I will serve you to the best of my ability. I will give you 110%. If you've seen any of my cards, my cell phone number is on there. You can call me. I will respond to you. We'll see what the problem is and see if there's anything in the world that I can do about it. I am a pro-jobs guy. I am a pro-life person. I'm pro-guns. And naturally, I'm pro-education, because without the education, our young people, one of them sitting right here and another one sitting back there I've talked to prior to, we don't have a future if we do not take care of our young people. And I do support the President of the United States. Every good man always has a good woman behind him. And my wife is going to kill me because my wife, Wendy, is back there. I want you to stand up, Wendy. I don't know if anybody that hasn't done this on a county level. I know several trustees are out here. I've met you the last year. But running for this 93rd district has been tough, I will tell you. I am retired, so I've had the time to do it for the past year. But my wife has always been there to help me and support me, and I do appreciate that from her. So thank you guys for giving her a hand. Thanks for allowing me to stand down here and stand up here in front of you. And I promise you, if you send me to Columbus, you will not be disappointed. Thank you.
If you'll allow us just a couple minutes to get our microphone system corrected, and then we'll start again. So we're going to take just a short pause.
I do apologize for the problems we have. Our next presenter is Jason Stevens, running for the House of Representatives, 93rd District.
Is that working? How's that? Okay. It's behind these speakers and the feedback gets one. Now I can't read my speech. Let's try this. How's that? Can everybody hear me? Okay. Well, good evening. My name is Jason Stevens, and I'm the state representative for the 93rd District in Ohio. Now, the 93rd District represents, or is made up of, most of Lawrence County, all of Jackson, all of Gaia, and part of Benton County. It's about 1,500 square miles, and it's bigger than the state of Rhode Island, just to kind of give you some perspective. But I have been serving as state representative since October of 2019, and I've been working hard to make you proud and to represent you in Columbus. On a personal level, my wife Julie and I have been married for 25 years. We have 3 sons. One of them is here tonight, Jackson. The other two are off in college, and we live on a small farm out in Getaway. We attend church over at the Rome Church of Christ, just over here by the fairgrounds. And on a professional level, I have my bachelor's degree in economics and finance from Lipscomb University. I'm a certified financial planner and also an insurance agent with our family's business, Stevens & Son Insurance. As many of you know, before being selected as the state representative back in October, I was elected to 3 terms as a Lawrence County Commissioner and to 3 terms as Lawrence County Auditor. And as your county commissioner, I focused on budget management, economic development, and community improvement. We did a lot of improvements in those areas, and I'm proud to say that Lawrence County moved forward back in that time. We kept our fiscal house in order, and we were able to improve and increase funding for several important issues like 4-H, economic development, and public safety. And as your Lawrence County Auditor, my goal was to run a professional, efficient county auditor's office that was customer friendly and focused on the people of the county. And from the enhancements to the physical office itself, to the upgrades to the auditor's website, I was very proud of the efforts of all of us there in the auditor's office during my tenure as county auditor. Now, as your state representative, I've been doing my best to use my experience and my knowledge of local government and small business to represent you in Columbus. I serve currently as the Vice Chairman of the State and Local Government Committee, and I'm also on the Primary and Secondary Education Committee, the Ways and Means Committee, and the Economic Development Committee. I've introduced a few bills so far, and I've also co-sponsored a few bills as well. The very first bill that I introduced is a bill to help seniors and disabled veterans fight inflation with property taxes. The bill is designed to increase the homestead exemption every year by the inflation rate. We had our first hearing this week, and I'm hoping that it will move forward. It truly is an honor to serve as your state representative, and I would sincerely appreciate your vote this March. I've already been endorsed by the Ohio Republican Party and the Lawrence County Republican Party. I am pro-life, I am pro-Second Amendment, and I will be proudly voting for President Trump in 2020. I hope we can attend his inauguration next January. I know several of us have been to an inauguration before in the past, and my family and I went to one in 2017, so hopefully we'll be able to do that in 2021. So with your support this March, I will be your voice in Columbus, a voice that knows Lawrence County, a voice that knows Southern Ohio, and a voice with the experience and know-how to get things done. I'm State Representative Jason Stevens, and I would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Our next presenter is not on the program, though, is Brigham Anderson, who's the prosecuting attorney.
Thank you. I'm Brigham Anderson. I'm the county prosecutor. The county prosecutor has primary responsibility is to represent the people of Lawrence County and the state of Ohio in all court proceedings in the county. We handle between 8,000 and 10,000 cases a year in my office. I have 6 other attorneys and 10 wonderful staff that work for me. In addition, my other responsibility is to represent the people behind me, all the elected officials in Lawrence County, the township trustees, the township fiscal officers, and all these folks who are elected to keep the county moving in the right direction. What I bring to the table as prosecutor is experience. I served as an assistant prosecutor for 8 years. I've been the elected county prosecutor for 2 terms, just finishing 7 years. And I can tell you that I get up every day excited to go to work. I absolutely love my job. And I promise you that as your county prosecutor, I will work every day to make sure that Lawrence County is a safer, better place to live and work. Thank you all very much.
Our next presenter is Jeff Blakeman, running for Lawrence County Commissioner.
Good evening to everyone that come out this evening. I want to thank everyone that took time out of their busy schedules to be here this evening with us. And I want to thank all the veterans and all the service members for your service. My name's Jeff Blakeman. I'm born and raised right here in Lawrence County. The finest art in general is where I was born. and raised in Willowwood, Ohio. Still reside in Willowwood, Ohio. Married to Michelle Kidd Blakeman from Pedro, and I have an 8-year-old son, Zaylen Jeffrey Blakeman. And my parents is the late Jerry Blakeman, and my mother is the late Betty Blakeman, which was all from right out there at Willowwood, Ohio. I'm a union man. I've been a union man for 18 years to current date. Union Millwrights Local 1090. I'm a family man. Been married for 13 years. I work very closely with structural engineers, mechanical engineers. So if you want to know how you turn your lights on, I know what produces that and I know how to fix it. So what I'm saying is I got a broad range of things that's in my head that I know about. I am a member of the NRA. I'm a proud member to hold a Ohio concealed carry permit, and I support our Second Amendment very strongly. And I am not for abortion, nor will I stand for abortion. And you say, well, why is that? I'm standing here today because I'm adopted. And I'm glad somebody give me the chance to be able to stand here and speak to everybody here this evening. Now, I'm running for county commissioner, and there's some things that I look at and some goals that I got. I want to focus on some economic growth, because I'm a man that spends 150 nights a year in a hotel plus outside this county. And we got kids, we all got grandkids, and they need to have a bright future right here in Lawrence County. They shouldn't have to go out and spend 150 plus nights a year in a hotel just to provide for our families. So that's very important to me. Because I miss a lot of basketball games, football games, baseball games. I miss a lot of things that I shouldn't have to miss, but I do because I have to provide for my family. Now and infrastructure, our roads are getting horrible. And we all know that we all can't afford a busted tire, tie rod end, a ball joint, high mechanic bills. Hey, listen, we all don't have $200,000 jobs. We all live on budgets. And that's a concern of mine. But I want to say this. If you're seeking in a commissioner that follows little groups of 50, 10, 100, 2,000, I'm not your guy. There's 60+ thousand people in Lawrence County, and I think every voice ought to be heard. So if you're looking for groups, I'm not your guy. I want to hear from everybody in Lawrence County, not just a select few. I humbly ask for your support as Lawrence County Commissioner. Thank you.
Our next presenter is Brian Pinkman, also running for the Lawrence County Commissioner.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming tonight. My name is Brian Pinkman, and I'm seeking the Republican nomination for office of the Lawrence County Commissioner in March 17th primary election. If elected, I pledge to serve the people of Lawrence County as your full-time commissioner in a lawful, transparent, and honest way. I believe in accountability. I believe we are and should be accountable for our actions. And I believe in hard work. We should lead by example and not by words only. I am the owner and operator of Pinkman's Excavating and Construction, LLC, and we have been in business since 2005. And this is a family business. My son helps me with everyday operations, and my wife and my daughter on a part-time basis. I do want to go off script here and mention my wife. We have a 2-for-1 deal. She has been with me everything that I do. My business, she's my secretary. As a pastor, she was with me, helped me with my sermons and prepare. She has done everything with me. In my township job, she's right there with me. So she is very supportive. So if you vote for me, you'll get 2 for 1. I'm currently serving as the president of the Board of Trustees in Rome Township, my second term. I have 7 years experience in local government and working with county government. Every year I attend Ohio Township Association Educational Conference, taking classes, trainings, and workshops. I currently serve as chairman of the Lawrence County Stormwater Task Force. I serve on the Lawrence County Planning Commission, and I'm vice president of the Lawrence County Township Association. In my township duties, I have worked to help develop our township budget and appropriations, maintaining our township 54 miles of road. And I work with the county engineer every year to secure funds for our township through the Ohio Joint Paving Project. I also work with the solid waste, the soil and water, and the Lawrence County Health Department. I say all that to let you know that I am very involved in the county departments and offices, and I want to continue to grow with that. I know the workings of the local and county government well. I want to be an advocate for the townships, the villages, the city of Ironton, and all the citizens of Lawrence County. Finally, I want to say that the responsibilities of a commissioner require a lot of time. There's lots of time to work through the issues at hand, to research what can and can't be done, studying the laws, problem solving, fixing problems, and focusing on bringing jobs to our county, meeting with local and county office holders. I am willing to lay down my position at my business and let my son take over my position so that I can be your full-time county commissioner. I want to be able to make trips to Columbus whenever necessary to talk to our state leaders and to represent Lawrence County. The most important asset that I can offer you today is time. I will dedicate my time as full-time commissioner to Lawrence County if elected. I am passionate for our county and for our people. No one has more passion than I do for our county and local government. I want to make sure we protect our seniors, our children, and respect and take care of our veterans. I want to see Lawrence County grow and prosper. I want to be one of your next Lawrence County commissioners. Thank you.
Our next presenter is Deanna Halle, candidate for Lawrence County Commissioner.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. I am Deanna Holliday, and I want to continue to be your county commissioner. I consider my bid for re-election as my job performance review. I recognize the citizens of Lawrence County as my boss. First, let me say thank you. Thank you for electing me. I love my job, and I'm committed to establishing a brighter future for Lawrence County. I have three important concepts that I'd like for you to think about tonight: my pledges, my performance, and our possibilities. In my first campaign, you got to know me as a person. I served a school board, I had experience as a professional, and I have conservative family values. But ultimately, you had to trust that I would keep my pledges. I told you that I would work as a full-time commissioner, and I do just that. I said that I would work on the jail issue. When I entered office, I had a plan for the jail that was ultimately voted down. However, I continue to search for solutions, and I'm heavily involved in potential state funding for jails in the 2020 budget. I pledged to help bring jobs and development to Lawrence County, and you see the evidence with hundreds of jobs and growth in many parts of Lawrence County. I have fulfilled my pledge as your effective, successful, full-time commissioner. Let me speak to performance. First, revenues are increasing. The county certified an additional $1 million in revenues this year. Project First Impression was initiated. I've said repeatedly, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Project First Impression is a collaborative approach to make progress in cleaning up our county. I have insisted on transparency in all that we do. The Joint Response Operations Center that we opened recently, it creates a more effective and efficient operation for our first responders and will save the county thousands of dollars. Over the past 2 years, I have served the Board of Directors for the County Commission Association, and I have been re-elected to serve on the board for another 2-year term. This allows me to continue to build and strengthen Lawrence County relationships at the state level. And finally, to possibilities. Expansion of Project First Impression will set the stage for powerful economic development, and growth of our population. Our county is positioned with shovel-ready projects. I will continue to recruit new business and industry and continue to support investments that affect our youth, our seniors, and our veterans. I'm excited to launch the Ohio Governor's Imagination Library in the coming weeks. And I'll continue to protect the financial health of our county. Finally, when you vote for me, you elect a full-time commissioner with experience, with determination, and a heartfelt desire to serve you. I will continue to unite people. As Helen Keller once said, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. I humbly ask for your vote, and I ask you to tell your friends and family to vote for Commissioner Holliday. She's our commissioner. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Our next presenter is Valerie Dyer, candidate for auditor.
Good evening. I too would just like to thank J.B. Finley for the invitation to be here this evening and to see such a great crowd that's interested in what's going on in Lawrence County. My name is Valerie Dyer, and I'm running for county auditor because I truly want to find a way to give back to our county. Lawrence County has been really good to our family. It's been a safe and wonderful environment to raise our family. We have our businesses here, and the citizens of Lawrence County have supported them for over 26 years. I'm at a place in my life that I am ready to give back as a public servant, and the duties as auditor best align with my skill set and my experience. For the past 16 years, I have been serving as general contractor for our construction and real estate company. We've been building homes and apartments in the tri-state area in Lawrence County, and I've been taking care of our financial obligations through that company. I believe I'm the best person for your auditor because I am highly organized, I pay attention, and I'm a stickler for details, and I believe in financial accountability. I also believe that honesty, integrity, and transparency are not just campaign slogans to run on. I believe that they are a way of life, especially for me, and the only way that I want to conduct business. I was raised in a conservative Christian home where faith, family, and friends were held at the highest value, and relationships matter. I want to take those same values into the auditor's office with me, and I believe those values will also make the transition into the office be a smooth one and give me the ability to work well with the deputy auditor and the staff. Those same values, I believe, have helped me build relationships with your state and local leaders that I feel confident that I could call on your behalf if ever the need would arise. I want to be your auditor, the people's auditor, and work for you. So I humbly ask for your vote on March 17th and your support. Thank you.
Our next presenter is Les Boggs, candidate for auditor.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to take this time to thank everyone for coming out and for all those putting this on together. Listen, my name is Les Boggs, and I'm your Republican candidate for Lawrence County Auditor. I'd like to say a couple things. You know, I guess you're supposed to brag on yourself with this. I'm not real comfortable with that, so I will say I have 5 college degrees, but you know what? That means nothing. You can be an educated idiot if you want to, but most people have 5 senses. I've been blessed with 7. I've got horse sense and common sense, and that goes a long way in public office. And I would like to say, if you want to know what someone's going to do in office in the future, look what they've done in office in the past. And I'm proud to say I have served 1 term as Lawrence County Clerk of Courts and 2 terms as Lawrence County Commissioner. We were very proactive. I'll just name a few of those things so you can understand where we're coming from. First of all, when SEAMS went defunct, there was a lot of pressure that we would just let the EMS do its own things. Private companies come in. I said, no, we want top quality. And so I led that drive to organize our now award-winning state and national award-winning EMS, which, by the way, did over 12,000 runs last year. So I'm proud to be the initial driver of that. Also, I thought about one of the things that my philosophy of service is to help people. I started a pharmacy program for people that didn't have insurance. Went to all the pharmacies, and they could present called the Commissioner's Insurance Card, and it provided, at the latest count, 27% off. So that we have people out there choosing between food and drugs that they need to take, and that helped a little bit. I'm proud to have been the author of that. I'm proud to have been the author of the plan that decreased, for the first time in history, Union Rome sewer rates. They were $52, due to go up to $58, and I proposed it in the commissioners' meeting. We were able to bring it down to $49 instead of going up to $58. Proud to have been a part, a little thing to help people. Also, I am now proposing, and I don't have time in this age, but I'm now proposing 4 ways to help people with the rising cost of property taxes. All you get together in groups afterward and talk to me, and I'll tell you all those 4 ways. Also, I'm proud to have authored a plan to help our volunteer fire departments. We didn't just say it verbally. We put money where our mouth was when we were in office, and we distributed that amongst the fire departments, which I've been out of office now about 4 years. I got to tell you something. I'm enjoying this comeback campaign. I'm enjoying talking to people, and that's one of the things the auditor makes the budget. That's going back in the budget to help for the volunteer fire departments. So let me just say this. Here are some of my goals that I have. I'll name them quickly because they say I have 1 minute left. I want to bring Lawrence County to a better financial condition. I also want to budget appropriately, and I also want to help people to honestly restore faith in government. And so I will say this, on March 17th, I humbly ask for your vote, and I too have a reservation for the Trump train.
Our next presenter is Paul Knipp, candidate for auditor.
Ladies and gentlemen, first I want to take the opportunity to thank you all for being here, because it's concerned citizens like you that make the government function. Without you, everything we're doing is meaningless. So I want to thank you for being here, taking your time this evening. I want to especially thank the organizers for putting it together and inviting us all up to participate. My name, as they've been introduced, is Paul Knipp. I'll appear on the ballot as Paul David Knipp in honor of my mother, who insists that I be called that. But if you ask if that's why it is, I usually introduce myself as Paul. In my life, I'm first and foremost a married father of three. Married father of 3, 21 years. So, married father of 3. I've been happily married for 21 years. We're partners, everything we do, and she is here with me this evening. So hopefully she'll ride home with me after I make that kind of mistake. But as many of you know, I was appointed to be the auditor in October as Mr. Stevens moved on to the state representative position. I've been serving honorably in that position since that time, and I ask for your vote to continue serving that position as we move forward. Standing in front of a crowd is not my most comfortable position, and it's not that I want to speak highly of myself, and it's not what I like to do, but I believe that my qualifications, I need to get out. I believe that my education, training, and experience have qualified me to continue to serve as your auditor. I graduated from the Rock Hill Local School District in 1993. I went on to attend Marshall University and graduated with a teaching degree in 1997. I went on to teach at Rock Hill after graduation. While teaching, I went on to earn a master's degree in educational administration. I was able to use that degree 1 year as a part-time administrator for the Rock Hill Local School District before consolidation limited the number of administrative positions. So I was a part-time administrator for 1 year during my teaching experience. However, after 5 years in education, I decided to leave education and pursue a further degree. I I went back to law school, or decided to go to law school, and I attended Regent University School of Law in Virginia Beach, Virginia, graduating and being admitted to the Ohio Bar in 2006. I'm also licensed in Kentucky and West Virginia, and for the last 12 years I've been a practicing attorney through the very day my appointment was made in October. I was in court that day, that evening I was appointed, and that night I had to give up those positions. Most recently I was an assistant prosecutor in Jackson County, Ohio, and I served in that position for a little over a year. In addition to my education, I believe my time on the Rockville Local School Board served me well. I served 10 years on the school board. I also served approximately 3 years on the Briggs Library Board of Trustees. In consideration of all of this, all my training and experience, I understand governmental accounting, especially as it pertains to restricted use revenue. My goal and vision for the auditor's office is to continue to provide a stable office, consistency in the office. In addition, I will continue to monitor the manner in which tax dollars are spent and maintain a level of transparency. And I humbly ask for your vote on March 17th, the Republican primary.
Our next presenter is Jason Tolliver, candidate for auditor.
Good evening. I'm not sure what's worse about getting old, wearing reading glasses or my hair falling out. I'm glad y'all laughed at that, because if you didn't, I had a 20-minute speech. She's going to sit here that much longer. As mentioned, I'm Jason Tolliver. I'm running for auditor. I'm a lifelong resident of Lawrence County, graduated from Fairland High School and Ohio University in Ironton. I'm a financially conservative union business owner of several businesses located in Lawrence County. I am pro-life, and I support the Second Amendment. And I'd like to thank our commissioners. Freddie's sitting out here somewhere, and commissioners here, for making Lawrence County a sanctuary for the Second Amendment. And if you don't know my beautiful fiance sitting here, stand up. She's the real reason why I support the Second Amendment. And I know I'll have to buy dinner later tonight. You may remember I ran for auditor in 2018, and before that election in November, there was a lot said about what needed to be done in Lawrence County. And now after that election, I can see that there was a lot said and still nothing done. I lost that election in November, but based on our property tax increase, we all lost. You believe it's time to elect somebody who can work with the elected officials regardless of their political affiliation, fight for lower taxes, and implement a realistic solution to our jail issue. And I'm going to ask you for one thing. In November, give me a chance to represent you. I'm Jason Tolliver, and I appreciate your support in November. Thank you.
Our next presenter is Joe Ross, candidate for sheriff.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joe Ross, and I'm running for sheriff in 2020. I've lived in Coal Grove most of my life. I've been married to my beautiful wife, Teresa, for the past 30 years. I have a wonderful daughter, Samantha Breeding, who also lives in Ironton. I graduated from Coal Grove High School in 1984. I then attended Moorhead State College for a year, and then Urbana University. I am a proud veteran. I joined the Ohio National Guard in 1987, where I proudly served my country and my community for 6 years. I then graduated from Collins Career Center in 1993 with a law enforcement certification. I worked part-time at Coal Grove, full-time at Proctorville for a year, and dispatched at the Ohio State Highway Patrol for a year until I was hired at the Ironton Police Department in 1996. I have also served on the Village Council at Coal Grove for 6 years. I am president of the FOP Lodge number 75 in Ironton, and I am also the lead detective and have been the detective for the Ironton Police Department for the last 7 years. People ask me why I want to be the sheriff. I want to be the sheriff to make changes. I want to make changes that's best for the citizens of Lawrence County. I want to bring accountability and transparency to the sheriff's department. I want to be sheriff because I want to show the citizens of Lawrence County results not excuses. I want to work on possible things, not the impossible ones. When I'm elected, I want to be a full-time sheriff to the whole county because I think the citizens of Lawrence County deserve that. I also am standing here tonight for one reason. I'm standing here for you, not Joe Ross. And I ask for your vote in November 2020. Thank you.
Our next presenter will be Jeff Wallace, candidate for sheriff.
Thank you all for coming out this evening. I appreciate being here and for having me here. My name is Jeff Wallace, and I am your duly elected sheriff. I am 55 years old and a lifelong resident of Lawrence County. I've been married to my beautiful wife for 34 years. We have 2 sons and a grandson that has stolen my heart for the last almost 3 years. I began my law enforcement career in 1986 at the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office, and I've worked my way up through the ranks. In the early 1990s, I resigned my full-time position at the Sheriff's Office and accepted employment with Lockheed Martin, U.S. Department of Energy, where I was a SWAT team member for 8 years protecting our nation's highly enriched uranium. During my employment at the atomic plant, I remained an auxiliary deputy with the Sheriff's Office. I returned to full-time employment with the Sheriff's Office in the year 2000 as a certified jail administrator, and in 2006 I was promoted to the rank of chief deputy. In 2008 I was elected to my first term as sheriff. I've been able to work within my budget, the budget provided to me, every year. We maintain a very high success rate in our criminal investigations, and I have been engaged in the war on drugs since I've been a law enforcement officer. The Sheriff's Office, along with the Lawrence County Drugs and Major Crimes Task Force, averages 70 major drug arrests a year with a 100% conviction rating. And that's been going on for more than a decade. Because of the hard work of the men and women of the Sheriff's Office, along with the relationship we have with the public, our crime rate in Lawrence County is relatively low. I have worked tirelessly to keep our current jail functioning and have been involved in jail committees in an effort to hopefully one day build a jail in the future. A new jail would cost between $12 and $18 million, and above and beyond that, the cost of operating it is astronomical. That becomes the concern of why we don't have a jail, is because of the cost and the cost of operating. We can build a jail. How do we operate it? That was one of the major functions that's prevented us from going to the facility in Franklin Furnace. I can assure you that I and the past and current commissioners, as well as the auditors, have looked at every aspect of a new jail and the cost to operate it. We have a duty and an obligation to ensure the county's finances are available for such a huge project. I have been instrumental in working with our schools to ensure that each district is provided with a school resource officer on a daily basis. The collaboration between the Sheriff's Office and the school districts have made our schools safer. In 2006, I brought the Project Lifesaver program to our county, and over the last more than a decade, it has saved several lives. I have worked to establish many neighborhood watch programs throughout our county, and I helped establish and maintain Shop with a Cop program that has provided a good Christmas to more than 60 kids a year. I overseen the largest manhunt in Lawrence County's history, and because of the maximum pressure we maintained, a quadruple murderer was taken off the streets without further incident. I am a family man. I am a Christian, and I believe strongly in conservative values. I am a lifelong Republican, and I have never changed political parties for political gain. I believe in less government involvement in our lives, and I am a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. I have always upheld the law, even when the violator has been a friend, family member, elected official, or fellow law enforcement officer. I humbly and respectfully ask for your vote and continued support for sheriffs. Thank you very much.
Our next presenter will be Teresa Baker, candidate for treasurer.
Can you hear me? I am Teresa Baker, and I am a candidate for treasurer on the Republican ballot. I am professionally, I'm a school treasurer. I've been a school treasurer for 29 years now, so I understand the challenges of limited resources. School funding typically, every time they come out with a new formula, it seems like it helps the districts north of Chillicothe. So we struggle with unlimited needs and very limited resources. My first position as treasurer was here at Fairland Local. I worked here for 17 years. Love the people here. And I am now at South Point Local as the school treasurer. Academically, I completed my Bachelor of Business Administration at OU, and then my master's at Morehead State, my master's of Business Administration. I am a licensed CPA in the state of Ohio. Personally, I am a country girl. I was raised on Aaron's Creek in the Arabia Aid Waterloo area. My mom, Imogene Swango, raised 8 kids as a single mom. We came from very humble means. We were poor. But Mom taught us hard work. We all worked hard. She taught us that if we wanted to get ahead of our situation, we had to get an education. So we learned hard work, and we're not afraid of hard work. My husband, Darren, and I have been married 38 years. We lived here in Rome Township for most of those years. We've recently downsized, and we now live in Willowwood. But like I said, I'm a country girl, so that's where I'm most comfortable. We have 2 kids, Casey and Emma, and we have 5 grandchildren. My favorite role in life is being granny. Our youngest grandchild is due in March. We are pro-life. We believe life begins at conception, and we are thrilled to have another baby coming in March. I am a woman of faith. I do believe that God's ways and His timing are bigger and more wise than I will ever be able to understand, and that He has guided and will continue to guide my steps. And I do ask for your support on the March primary ballot, and ask for that Republican ballot, and vote for Teresa Baker. I appreciate it.
Our next presenter is Stephen Bertram, candidate for treasurer.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Bertram, and I am the county treasurer. I appreciate everybody being here tonight, friends and neighbors, because I too am a resident of Rome Township. Just live about a mile away from here in that regard. I'd like to also mention that my wife has been with me every time I've ever done an event like this. Debbie's and I have been married for 43 years. We have 2 daughters and 4 grandchildren. I have to say she's both the rock of our life and the rock of our family life. My dad is Dale Bertram, and glad to see Dad here tonight. I'm a graduate of Fairland High School and the Ohio State University. I am a certified public accountant. I have my investment license, and I'm also the county treasurer, as I mentioned, and the chair of the land bank as a result of that. I'd like to talk about several things that the treasurer's office does in Lawrence County. One is the collection of taxes. We have collected more each year that I've been in office than the preceding year. Those taxes help both the school districts and the local entities that rely on those to provide services to all the citizens throughout the county. Now, I don't ask anybody to do anything more than what their neighbor does. I simply ask that everybody pay their fair share. Since I've taken office, we have collected delinquent taxes that have reduced the outstanding balance by over 70% of when I first took office. And that is money that goes to, generally speaking, our children in our school districts. I want them to be the best educated and the most qualified when they leave their school district and go on into the work world or to college. Another item that we started is the neighborhood investment program. As the treasurer, I buy bonds that are issued by school districts towns and townships. I can give those townships a better rate than what they can get by going to a local lender. We also get a better rate in interest income than what I can get on CDs at the bank. I believe in investing in the people of Lawrence County. Each of those opportunities have also created jobs in Lawrence County. For instance, here at Fairland School District, I purchased bonds of over $2.7 million that was used for additional classroom construction and energy renovations. Those created jobs. I would also like to mention that the Lawrence County Land Bank is something that I put into place and implemented. Just here in the Rome Township, we've knocked down 25 delinquent, abandoned properties. I like to call them zombie houses. Most of those houses, we found drugs. We found illicit activity. Matter of fact, here in Rome Township, we found one that had 5 marijuana plants that somebody was growing. Of course, we called the sheriff's office and had those confiscated and removed and destroyed appropriately. But in those cases, after we've torn those houses down, those properties are going to go back into the tax roll. And we're going to begin to sell those this July. So if you'd like to buy some property or develop some property, please give us a call. I would like to ask for your vote in November. Thank you very much.
And our next presenter is Cole Webb, candidate for treasurer.
Can everyone hear me all right? Hello, everyone. My name is Cole Webb, and I'm running for the Republican nomination for Lawrence County Treasurer. Before I start, I'd like to thank the Lawrence County Meet the Candidates Committee for having me here tonight to speak, and I'd like to thank everyone in this room for taking their time to come out this evening to prepare for the March primary. As your treasurer, I will be responsible for sending tax bills, receiving the funds, and collecting overdue payments. Once received, I will invest these monies in productive ways until such time as I need to disperse the money among various agencies that need it. This includes property taxes, sales taxes, as well as all other taxes. The county treasurer holds a key position of public trust in the financial affairs of Lawrence County, acting as the bank for the county, school districts, fire districts, water districts, and all other units of local government. The treasurer's office receives, disperses, invests, and accounts for the funds of each of these entities. In addition, the treasurer is charged with the collection of various taxes that benefit a wide range of governmental affairs. Over 60% of the workload of the county treasurer is directed towards providing services to the tax districts. Major responsibilities for the county treasurer can be summarized in the following areas: receiving and accounting of revenue, collection of taxes and assessment, disbursement of funds, cash and investment management, and debt management. Right now, I want to touch on two important words: public trust. As treasurer, I will immediately implement a code of ethics for myself and all who work for me. This code of ethics will include both personal and professional responsibilities, clearly articulated so there will be no room for any unethical conduct. I will hold myself to these high standards. You know, I think back to my childhood, growing up and working on my family's beef cattle farm in Chesapeake, Ohio. Working on a beef cattle farm requires rising up early and working till late at night. Everybody has to pull their own weight, and as you can tell, I have no problem with that. So anyway, I got to spend a lot of time with my family outdoors, working with the cattle. I also got to spend some quality personal time with my father. Now, as you know, fathers have a way of telling their own philosophies, their ideas, and their focus to view the world. Also, fathers seem to always have some phrases that are very important to them. One of the things my father said to me repeatedly while working outdoors on the farm is, "A man is only as good as his word." The more I thought about this, the more I realized this phrase is very, very true. If you can't trust a man's word, then you can't trust him at all. If you can't trust your treasurer, you certainly don't trust that person with the county purse. Some might suggest that a young man like myself might be a little young for this job. I say that makes no sense. I'm old enough to join the military, fly a drone, and drive an 18-wheeler. How old do you have to be the treasurer? Old enough to know better. I have the ability and skills to do this job. I have the desire to do this job, and you can trust me to be faithful in all aspects of this job. I'm not running because someone talked me into it. I'm not running because I have an agenda. I'm running for the seniors, the youth, everyone in this room. I love the citizens of Lawrence County, so vote for me on March 17th. Thank you.
We are now going to take a 5-minute break, and after that we will start the question and answer period. The 5 candidates who are running unopposed are not going to participate in that.
The commissioners are coming up to the table, and they're going to take the questions and respond to those. And we have a short time frame for the response. They only have 1 minute. Wanted to also announce that Jason Stevens had to leave, and so Mr. Halle, who is running for the same position, he agreed not to come up and take questions because it would just be himself, but he will be here afterwards. You can ask questions of him, so we just wanted to make that announcement that he is still here and would take questions. So, Alan, I'm going to turn it over to you. You can start the questions.
This is for the 3 commissioners, and we'll start on this side and work our way down, and then next question we'll start in the middle and work and rotate it around. This first question, a low-income housing project has been proposed for Rome Township with promises of tax credits for a Cleveland developer. And the question is, won't this be a burden for the Fairlawn schools and property owners as if this is approved?
If this was approved, I don't think so. Got to look at the long term of things. It's a great opportunity, I do believe. For one, it will actually create a little bit of jobs. And then you have more opportunity for people to move in to the areas, which brings more income in as, income to our county, especially for the school district here. So I don't think it has a really big impact on it. Now, do I know all the details to it? No, I don't. But personally, I think it's a great idea. That's it.
Well, obviously, the person that asked that question has done their homework, and it is a complicated subject. We are, myself personally, I am very much for the seniors, the less fortunate. That is what our calling is to do. Anytime you have subsidized, then you have to look at the property taxes and the total values. So each case has to be evaluated as such. Everyone understands that there's a difference in the tax rate as subsidized as personal. So as Lawrence County, we need to make sure that we have that right ratio between privately owned and privately owned business compared to subsidized. So that's just something that we need to keep an eye on, something that we need to pay attention percentage-wise. This particular project that our question's been asked about seems to be very needful. When we went to the open house at the Proctor's Landing, they said that they had 208, I think, or 280, somewhere along that lines of people that was signed up for those places. So obviously we have a need for that. So I think this project would be good for Lawrence County, and I look forward to them getting it accomplished. But in the future, I do agree with the person that answered the questions. We do have to keep our eyes on the ratio and the percent. Private property and private business can't carry all the burden, so we need to be aware of that.
Thank you.
So I think it's our very important obligation that when we are looking for opportunities in Lawrence County, that we have resources and that we have incentives available for businesses and that we give them the right reasons to want to come to Lawrence County and that we provide them with very important resources. And a tax incentive is, or a tax deterrent is an incentive. And so, as it was mentioned, the senior center is of need in this area. We have the current senior center that has a waiting list, and it is in excess of 200. And so when we're making decisions and we're looking for opportunities, that has to be data-driven. And we have the data that proves that Proctorville is a good area for the senior living and that there is a desire for that here. And so I'm happy that we have opportunity to suffice needs and to also create opportunity not only for employment but for future tax dollars for our students and our children here in the Fairland District. So the Senior Center will be a very good complement to the Rome-Proctorville area.
Our next question is stating that Ohio is ranked number 12 in the nation in taxation, with New York actually being number 1. What plan do the commissioners have to stabilize existing taxes or even to reduce taxes? And I'll let Brian go first.
That is a very difficult question. I'm for lower taxes, definitely not for more taxes. You know, as I said in my first question, that, you know, we can't put the tax burden on the people and on business. So we have to be very careful about our tax rate. I am for the less government, and I'm for the people to do. So as you know, that's one of the things I will have to learn as commissioner, how to approach this and which direction to go on this. I can't comment much more on that.
Thank you. Well, I think it's very important that people understand the role of a commissioner. And one of the things that I have really worked hard at is educating our public on what commissioners actually do. And so I know the question is geared toward higher taxes. I'm not sure what the person that answered the question, what kind of tax you're talking about. But commissioners are not taxing authorities. We do have an obligation to determine whether levies are placed on a ballot. But ultimately, that is to give you, the taxpayers, the decision and empower you with the knowledge that you need to decide if that's a good tax for you or if that is a need that you see of importance to the county. But as far as the commissioners adding a tax to your property tax or anything like that, that's not in our wheelhouse. So I think it's very important that you understand the role of a commissioner. We are legislators. We appropriate your county budget. It's our responsibility to protect the financial health of the county. It's also our responsibility to be creative with how we can receive funding into the county. And maybe there's potential that we can look at sales tax and how maybe that might be applied more fairly. So I'm not really sure who asked the question or what kind of tax you were talking about, but I just wanted to be clear about the role of a commissioner.
Obviously, I'm not for raising taxes whatsoever. I pay my fair share of taxes. I seen a tax hike myself, a pretty good sized one. But you know what? I'm like Mr. Pinkman here. I really can't speak that much on that subject because I don't know enough to speak on it. But here's what I would suggest. You know, you look at us as potential commissioners or a commissioner. Why don't each and every one of us come to the commissioner's office, sit down and give them some ideas? You know, I'm open to listen to everybody's ideas. Whether we disagree on something or we don't, I am open to listen to you. We can't fix everything, obviously, and we can't please everything. But as far as the the actual question, I don't know enough to actually comment on it. All I say is we all need to get together and figure it out together. That's what we do as a county. You know, there's 60,000 of us. So we get something figured out.
And a final question. If you're elected, what is your highest priority once you're in office? We'll start with Deanna.
My highest priority as a commissioner is to meet the needs of each of you in Lawrence County, and I work hard to do that. I serve you at a state level, and I'm always looking for opportunities for Lawrence County to receive new funding. I'm constantly and consistently telling your story. I talk often about the needs of Lawrence County and how we can receive state dollars and even federal funding. I realize that needs of Lawrence County are large, but I also know that when we unite as a county, as 60,000 people strong, that we can make a difference, and we are making a difference. I'm very focused on serving the senior population, consistently looking for opportunities to enhance the lives of seniors. I'm very focused on veterans in our county. Most recently, we did pick a Veteran of the Year, which was the first time in the history of Lawrence County. We were very proud that Dean Cooper, the year prior, was our Veteran of the Year for the entire state of Ohio. So we have a real focus on enhancing veterans' lives as well. And I also believe in education. I work very hard to enhance education in Lawrence County. Project First Impression has an educational side to it, and that's what I'm most proud of. We now have curriculum in all schools throughout the county that teach about taking care of our landscape. And we also give students opportunity to participate in cleanup efforts. I'm very excited to announce the Imagination Library, which targets our students from age 0 to 5 and is an opportunity to improve literacy in Lawrence County. I realize that the youth of our county is the future of our county, and I am determined to take care of them and prepare them for the future of Lawrence County. Thank you.
One of my high priorities is prioritizing our economic needs according to our tax dollars. We've got needs that our tax dollars cannot cover all, but we need to prioritize what's more important first. And then right after that, my priority is actually listening to everybody, not just one or two. I can't stress that enough. My priority is to listen to all 60,000 plus residents of Lawrence County, not just a few. I want to hear all of you. And I want to focus on economic growth. Economic growth brings revenue to our county. With more revenue, more needs can be met. That's pretty common. And our infrastructure is my third important one, because our roads are falling apart. But there again, we need to back up and prioritize our economic needs to compare with our tax dollars that's coming in. So that's mine.
As Lawrence County Commissioner, one of my biggest goals is to bring the grassroots government, the local townships, villages, together with the county to be able to work together better. That is one of the things that I have learned in my township position, is how we get stumped on everything. Things slowly get done, and that's just because it takes a lot of time to get things done. That's one of the things that I want to be an advocate for, is the local grassroots government, because that's the people. Your local grassroots government, they know the needs of their communities. There's 14 townships in Lawrence County, and if you want to know what's going on in each one of those townships, you go talk to the leaders of that township, and they can give you more information than what you can ever get at the county, if you listen to them and work with them. So that's one thing that I really want to do, is work with our local leaders and bring it to a county level, move things forward, get things done in a timely manner, get answers. Either we can help people or we can't. And I don't know, am I out of time there? I've seen the red, I'm out of time. But I have a lot, it's hard to answer it all in 1 minute. But I am so excited about being the commissioner and being involved. Thank you.
I want to thank all three of you for your time and for answering these questions for us. Thank you. If the 4 candidates for auditor would come up front here. Since the auditor's office deals mostly with finances, what is your financial background that makes you a strong candidate for this job?
I think I bring a unique set of skills to that office, given my background in business. The budget that I deal with every day and set the goals for our companies on a yearly average, they are extremely comparable to what the budget is for Lawrence County. So that's nothing new for what I do and the amount of money that we deal with budget-wise. Dealing with people, the money, the banks, the insurance company, everybody, I think it just lends I bring a unique set of skills to the table for that area.
I believe my experience as a school board member for the last 10 years dealing with public finance, dealing with budgeting, limited resources. As a school board member, Rock Hill, when I first was elected to that position, we were facing a very difficult financial situation. I ended up laying off a number of people, which was a terrible situation to be in. But I believe that my background with that, the budgeting and working with that, working with the library board as well for budgeting and finances there, working with governmental financing, understanding the strings and things that are attached with limited purpose funds. There's only so much money that comes in, some of which is earmarked for what you can and can't do. I believe that my background with education in the school system as well as library board and things function with that in the auditor's office. We have a lot of limited funds that come in for certain purposes, and the job of the auditor is to make sure that they get spent appropriately for those purposes.
I have over 30 years experience with leadership management, working with my husband Mike and his practices here and our construction company, handling the contractors, the financial part of it. I just feel that I have the experience, the understanding of the property values. My father was a carpenter, and I've been around construction and real estate my entire life. So I went on job sites with him, seeing the value of the property, the buildings, and I just want to put that to use and work for you and in the auditor's office, and I hope I can do that for you. Thank you.
Great question about our financial background. First of all, I have a lot of extensive financial background, both in private and in public. Let's start with the private. I've owned several businesses, the last one of which I had 115 employees and did payroll for the whole company up until we had about 80 employees, and then I turned it over to a CPA. That's one of the things that the auditor does. Also in the public sector, the same budget that the auditor makes and is approved by the Budget Commission, which consists of the treasurer, the prosecuting attorney, and the auditor, the same budget that he makes or she makes, I appropriated it for 8 years. I understand every line item that's down on that and where it goes and where it should be going. So I have the ability and the strength from a financial background to strengthen the bottom line of the county, which we did every single year I was commissioner. The bottom line went up, and at the very end, we were the highest that we had been in close to 20 years.
Many of our townships in our county can't get property tax funding because they have vast amounts of government forestry land instead of residential homes. How do you propose to help these townships that are really at a deficit because of the situation?
I'm somewhat familiar with that issue as well, being on the Rock Hill School Board. Wayne National Forest is in the Rock Hill district, so we get no funds basically from that. That particular question, however, is primarily with a commissioner-type response. The auditor, when the money comes in, it's payment in lieu of taxation. When that money comes in, the commissioners are then charged with determining how that is spent, unless that money comes in with specific earmarks. The federal government at times will submit that money, the payment in lieu of taxation, will submit that with strings, with certain things that has to be spent on. The auditor's role is to make sure those funds are spent according to that. The second part is that the commissioners determine how that money is then divvied up and spent across the townships that are impacted by that. My job as the auditor will be to try to work with the commissioners, work with the trustees, and try to make sure that it is a fair and equitable distribution of those tax dollars, unless there's a requirement by the federal government to spend them in certain ways.
I will honestly say that me being not in the office right now, I'm not 100% familiar with everything that's going on, but I can say that once I am your auditor, I will work with the commissioners in any way possible to find out any answers that we need to find out for our citizens. And I do believe in fairness and transparency. I believe that whatever is due to our townships, they should receive, and I will work with the treasurer, the commissioners, anybody that we need to make sure that that happens.
Thank you. Excellent question. Last year in 2019, we took in $166,000 in PILT money. PILT means payment in lieu of taxes, where there's no houses, and we have at least 7 or 8 townships that border forestry service and government, and they don't get any money for residents because of the way that the land is owned. Therefore, of $166,000, I think maybe a small amount, like $9,000 at the tops, went out to townships. I'm going to say this right here publicly. The townships are getting stepped on. And I will say this, if I am your auditor, I will put more money back into those townships that border government property to make it fair and equitable for the money that you are losing. Thank you.
If I understand the auditor's position correctly, I don't think that's a function of that office. But if elected, I will promise you that I will work with the other elected officials, regardless of their political affiliation, to see that that money is distributed equally and fairly to the existing counties, that they should not be penalized because of it. So I will work with everybody to make sure that that money is distributed.
And one final question. If you were elected, what is your highest priority once you're in office? Start with Valerie.
My highest priority would be just to increase the knowledge of the citizens on their taxes. Also, that I believe that Lawrence County can and will be more than just a poor Appalachian area. I have a vision for Lawrence County for growth, and I believe that it would take everybody in the community to come together to work for that to succeed. I also think that to help lower the taxes would be to have Lawrence County a county that people want to come and live in, that new families come, new residents want to live here, raise their families, send their kids to school here. New businesses come, and that would ultimately increase the tax base and spread the tax burden through a larger population. So my vision for Lawrence County would be for growth, and to see that happen for every citizen, to have their taxes lowered and just see the growth in Lawrence County.
The office of the auditor is one of financial in nature, and therefore we would work to strengthen the financial situation in Lawrence County of the government. Secondfold, I want to work, like I said earlier, with the taxpayers. the rising cost of property taxes, and some places up here in Rome Township, you're just about to be hit with a 20% increase. That's ridiculous, and that's when I've come up with the 4 ways to help people relieve those burdens. Like I said, you can't tell 4 ways in a minute, but I'll be around afterward to talk to you about it. Thank you.
In 2018, I ran a campaign, and this was my #1 priority, and I want to say this again, and I can't say this loudly enough, is taxes. And I was one less that just got hit with over 18% tax increase for my property. And my platform has not changed from 2018. Taxes will be my #1 priority, and getting that addressed, and at least getting some structure put in place so where we're not hit with property taxes a rate all at once, and maybe distributed out over a period of time, or at least not blindsided by it.
My top priority will be continue to work with the local government authorities, township trustees, all of those involved, all the stakeholders. I know there's been a lot of discussion on property assessment evaluations going up. I understand that. It's been one of the hot topics in this end of the county especially. One of the things we have to do is comply with the state regulations. The state of Ohio, the auditor's office is an extension of the tax commissioner's office that insists that certain things done every 3 years. The statistical analysis is done on the valuation of property. Every 3rd year after that, the full evaluation of the property is done. If we don't do that, and if we don't comply with the tax commissioner's office, then they can cut off the state funds. But my top priority would be to try to maintain the office open, transparent, as much information as possible to get out to everybody so we understand, so this it's not as hidden. And I don't believe that. I believe that I can be open and transparent with it, educate everyone as far as what tax credits and things are available for everyone. The top priority will be working with local governments and everyone who is elected.
Thank all of you for your time. 2 candidates for sheriff have come up. And the first question is, how can Rome receive either more patrol coverage or a manned outpost?
Well, more money and more deputies is the quick and simple answer, but I know you want to hear more than that. I've been working with the Rome Township trustees. In fact, I met with the Rome Township trustee 2 days ago and we went around to some areas that's in some need of some extra patrols. So, as my budget allows, I'm going to put extra deputies up here. The problem is I have a limited budget. I have I have a big budget, but I have a jail to run. I have many priorities, many accounts that have to keep a huge operation going. So, so working with the township trustees, and then the township trustees have expressed to me that they may be willing to put some money forth towards this to help pay the expense of a deputy to patrol during certain times. So we're working very hard to get that accomplished for you. It's difficult. Now we do have a substation up here at the Fairland School Board. It's not a functioning substation. It's a substation where the officers can go take care of reports and speak to people and do some things, but we don't have the manpower to have extra substations in different parts of the county. I think we're just strapped and limited on what we can do. I know that we've talked about the amount of people that's here, 63,000 people roughly in Lawrence County and 458 square miles. We need 20 more deputies on the street. But the amount of crime that we deal with the limited amount of manpower we have, I am very proud of my staff.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that you can't have manpower up in the eastern end of the county with deputies in vans driving back and forth to Morrow County. That situation there has to be addressed. There has to be a solution for the jail. The Sheriff's Department at this time has the biggest budget in the county and has had for the last couple of years. There is things you can do to put more deputies on the road. I work at the Ironton Police Department, so I know what needs to be on the road. Yes, the county's a little bigger than the city. However, I've been at the police department for 26 years. I was being involved with the budget at the police department I have been acting chief of the police department. So what I say is when the eastern part of the county needs more patrols, we have to get the deputies out of the vans that's taking these prisoners tomorrow in Butler County and get them back on the road where they're patrolling, and take some of the officers that we have that's part-time and on the roster down here that is supposed to be putting 16 hours a month in to keep their commission, and put them out here in a car at night so that eastern part of the county gets just as much coverage as the other counties, or as the rest of the county.
What can we do about the overcrowding and the current conditions at the county jail?
Well, we're doing the best we can with what we have to work with. The jail was outdated the day it came into existence in 1972. So we reach out to every jail in the state and ship the prisoners north, which helps that crowding problem. We have a jail committee in the county, and we just spent right at $60,000 to do a study, having a company that's come in that's doing the jail study for us to hopefully be prepared to build a jail. Now, there's talk in Columbus right now about some funds becoming available again for jails. Sauter County was the last county in the state of Ohio that had a jail built by state funds, and that funds, from what we're hearing, may be placed back in a budget. And I know that Commissioner Halle is on a committee that's working towards that. So we're hopeful that we can have a plan ready to go, hit the ground running if those funds become available again. I want to address something that's been said. The corrections officers that are in vans taking people north, or taking those people north to help alleviate our problem in the jail, they have nothing to do with road patrol. The roster that we have, all these special deputies are putting in their time because they're out doing the school resource officer's job. We're providing a deputy for every school district, and those are the deputies that are going out doing that on top of deputies working overtime. So again, it's easy to look from the outside in until you understand all the pitfalls of running this major office.
Well, again, working at the Iron Police Department, I have had the opportunity to go over to the Lawrence County Jail, and I have heard from numerous people, and also see myself, that the conditions down to the Lawrence County Jail can be deplorable sometimes. I hear people say, well, those people shouldn't have been down there, they shouldn't have got arrested. But those are also our kids, our neighbors, our fathers, our mothers, our sisters. Those are still human beings down there in that jail. And just because you got an old car, don't mean you can't take care of it and drive it. There's been lawsuits from the jail come out down there. There's been people OD in the jail down there. And I think that one of the top priority is that we not only need a new jail, we need to clean up and take care of the jail that we have down there, and take care of the prisoners and treat them like human beings that's down there in the jail now.
We want to thank you for your time. Thank you for being here with us this evening. And if our last three for the Treasurer's Office would come up. The question is, what improvements, if any, do you feel could be made to run the Office of the Treasurer more efficiently or be made more accessible for the residents?
Well, is it working now? Okay. Can everyone hear me? All right. I believe accountability. Right here. I believe accountability is key in the Treasurer's office. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a trustee in Union Township. We have currently, I believe, 4 to 5 employees working for us right now, full-time and part-time. Accountability is very important in running any type of business. And saying this, the Treasurer's office does need to be ran like a business. If you can't trust the people who are working for you, working for the county, then, then there is a problem. So,
I think the question being asked is, how can it be more efficient or more accessible to the community? I feel like as much as we can do on websites to make those user-friendly, but I feel like the people who are in that office, I don't have any specific complaints. I have had conversations with people who maybe missed a message, maybe when escrow, properties are going out of escrow, there was a miscommunication or a lack of communication, so properties may have gone into delinquencies. Openness, having people feel like they're able to come in and ask a question and have that question answered as quickly and as easily as possible would be my number one thought. But again, as far as the folks working in the office, I haven't had any specific complaints.
That's a great question, and I do in fact run the office as a business. I've been doing that for 14 years now. And one of the things that we I started while I was there, was in fact a website where you can pay your taxes online. You can also pay your taxes at most of the local branch banks here. Matter of fact, Proctorville, Rome area is one of the leaders in collections that people take advantage of in terms of paying their taxes. We've had programs where we've gone out into the community, set up collection sites for people to come in and work on either their current taxes or delinquent taxes. We've had more contracts to help people pay their taxes than previously has ever existed in the county. So we work very hard to be accessible and to be open, and we've developed several new programs throughout the last 14 years, and will continue to develop programs to make it more accessible to the tax-paying public in that regard.
If you are elected, what is your highest priority once you get into office?
I think my highest priority would be to have the tax base and the tax payments made as efficiently, as quickly as possible. Coming from the school setting, I know how badly we depend on those revenues. Most of the districts in the county are heavily funded by the state, but still the local taxes are important. So that would be my top priority, to protect the taxpayers, to expand the tax base, and have that be released to the districts, the school districts, the townships, and those, the people where it belongs. So that would be
The top priority for me, and has always been, the safety of the monies received and invested. As the treasurer, you're responsible for investing the funds of the county. And safety and liquidity and the ability to have that allocated to the appropriate entity, such as a school district, are one of the things that would be one of my highest priorities. When I first came into office, to speak of collections for a moment, the average time to close the books after a collection period was 6 weeks. We're down now to a week and a half. And those are important things to get to those monies out into the school districts in particular. So approximately 72% of the taxes that I collect go to our local school districts. And that's an important number and a necessary number for our schools. And so I think it's extremely important that it's run efficiently and fairly. And I don't ask anybody to do anything else that their neighbor's not doing. I don't like to pay my taxes either from that standpoint, but I want to pay my fair share, and I'm going to ask everyone to pay their fair share and pull their weight. Thank you.
I believe the question was our highest priority. My highest priority is, if elected, to be there for the people of Lawrence County on a full-time basis. If I'm elected, it's going to be my full-time job. I will be in the office 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. If you have a problem, I believe that you should be able to go to the treasurer's office and speak to the county treasurer. And like I said in my my opening, I love the people of Lawrence County, and that is why I'm running. Be there for you.
Well, thank you for your time, and thank you for answering our questions for us. We want to thank all of the candidates who took the time to come out this evening. We thank all of you for coming. The candidates are going to come down and mix with you now, so if you have some specific questions you didn't get answered from one of the candidates, I know they'd be willing to take the time and speak with you now, and thank you all for coming this evening. Have a safe trip home.